Eddie Van Halen here, telling you, keep playing, man. Gotta keep playing. It's the only thing there is. Music, man. Keep playing. All right? I'm gonna come looking for you if you don't.
What is up, boys and girls? Here we are once again. It is Tuesday night, right? 9:10 p.m. of the Eastern Standard Persuasion. And it is, June 10th, 2025. And we are here at the Guitarsenal. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Seems awfully quiet in here. There's like no hum or feedback or anything from anybody.
Well, R2 and Jimmy aren't here.
Oh, that's true. Welcome in, boys. Good to see you both. We got Randy, R5, Red Bull Ripper. We got Signature Trev, and we got John the Deshane over there. Welcome in, boys. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So we have an interesting topic tonight. What you got?
Go ahead, Randy.
Oh, there's a little hum. So Randy had the idea for the show tonight. He was like, let's do a show, pick 3, 4, 5 riffs, and we'll call it the riffs that made you, meaning back to the day when you were wanting to pick up a guitar, even before you started learning, I guess, some riffs that inspired you, maybe some riffs that you're like, I gotta learn to play that. I gotta be able to do that. Yeah. So we're going to do kind of round robin thing, and we'll each take one and then circle back around.
Yeah, I pirated the idea from it was either Gear Gods or Metal Injection or something. How they always get the famous people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what was the riff? The first riff you learned, or the riff that really made you like, I have to learn that.
What
to
inspired
be a guitar
you?
player. So
yeah, right on. Very cool. So before we get too much further, let's start off with a big shout out and a thank you to our channel members. We do have channel membership available on the channel. There's a join button over there, and in the description, there's a link for the join. And we want to say thank you to all of our channel members who have been helping to keep the lights on, strings and things, picks, and all that kind of good stuff. And want to say thank you. We appreciate it very, very much. So thank you. Also, anybody that's donated some gift memberships, thank you as well. Arky, Gene Spliced, I think, has before. Matt, McCullough Music. So thank you. It really does help support what we're doing and keeping the lights on. So thank you very, very much. Also, we have the giveaway that's going to be coming up in August. Make sure you spread the news, tell your friends. Any subscribers to the channel will be eligible for some picks, a guitar strap, some books, picture books, Van Halen picture books. I've got a, what's the Rosen book called? I forget the name of it. The Steve Rosen book. The name of it's just complete, but anyway, that'll be available.
Tone
Chaser. There you go. So we'll have one of those, and grand prize, which will be held for a channel member, will be provided by Mr. Stephen Franklin, the Boss GT 1000 effects pedal. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your grandma, R2.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right, let's get over to the chat, see who's here. Shall we do that? Mm-hmm. Well, this is just eerily quiet with no noise. I don't know what to do. There we go. All right, first is Ericola saying, howdy friends, looking forward to the episode. And what are we drinking? Diet soda for me. Cheers. And a big shout out and a thank you to Patty Dill for her support.
Some shit I don't need to drink this late at night.
Still sugar free though, I'm sure.
Just polish this off here.
It makes you have to go pee in the middle of the night.
It's a school night, so we're being good. Let's see. Speaking of the devil, we've got channel member and crew member R2, R3. A Locking Nut is in the chat. It says part-time R2 here, wishing everyone a great Tuesday evening. My name is Al, alcoholic. Good to see Al. Let's see. We got channel member Chuck C is here. Right on. We got Zach Thong hanging out in the chat. Right on. Good to see you, Zach. There he is. Channel member Mr. Stephen Franklin saying, what's up, everybody? Good to see you, Mr. Franklin. Channel member Florida Claimers Ted is here in the chat. We also have Mr. Dan. Lay it down. Channel member Gorman.
Is that on somebody's list or?
I don't know. Could be. Should we get to it later?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right. So we'll pause on that one. We may get to it later.
You just got to sit tight and watch, Dan.
There you go. We got channel member CMBR Cucumbers here. Good to see you, sir. There is channel member, crew member, panel member, executive producer member, Asymmetry. That's Rev.
Super symmetry.
Yes, he is. We got Papa Blue is here. Good to see you, man. Been a minute. Welcome back. We got Daniel Berry Sports Highlights is hanging out. Good to see you. We've got channel member, the greasiest of greasy, Greasy Monkey Guitars, saying howdy, peeps.
Grease pit.
We got channel member Bo, Guitar Man 45 is here. Good to see you, Bo. Got Darboard is here. Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. We also have the one, the only, the official channel member Rob Blackmore. Official. Good to see you, sir. And welcome in. We've got Mean Joe McGraw, channel member is here. Just got on, right on, just on time, man. Let's see. We said hey to E. coli already. AMC Kingdom is here, dropping in
Right on.
to say hello to the OU812 crew. Well, hello back to you and welcome in. KXM Rock is here. Mel Johnson is here. Let's see, who else? We just said hey to Joe, and I think we have now caught up with the chat. We got 38,000 here, so we'll get started. So tonight, like I said, 3, 4, 5 different riffs riffs and licks that made you who you are. And it was Randy's idea, so we'll let Randy get started. So what is your first ultimate lick or riff that you said, I've got to do that?
That's easy. And I'll show my age here of being the youngest member on the panel. I was a kid in the 90s. So it's Van Halen and...
Still a kid now.
Right. And not even 40 yet. I'm getting there. But, I was big on the 5150 album and all that stuff. But I didn't really... when you're 7 or 8 years old, does it really, hook you in? Kind of. I was like, oh, that's cool. That guy's awesome. Eddie Van Halen, whatever. But when Twister came out in, 96? Mm-hmm. I remember... For those of you that remember Blockbuster, I remember going into Blockbuster to rent a video game and whatever with my mom, and they were playing the Humans Being music video. And that was the first time I'd ever seen what Eddie Van Halen looked like. Mm-hmm. So I attribute him with the shaggier, not short, but not super long hair, the beard, and the black PV Wolfgang.
Right.
And it was the main riff, the Humans Being, was like, fuck me, I got to do that.
Cool.
Just something about that riff, which everybody that does covers of it plays it wrong, by the way. Dude, it's badass. I don't know what it was about that riff, but that riff was just like, I got to get a guitar. I've got to learn that. I got to figure out what he's doing. And that was, from that point on, it was guitar. That's all I talked about. Finally got one. And yeah, been playing an E flat ever since.
That's awesome, man.
So it just hit. That was it.
Yep.
Such a killer groove, man.
It is.
Yeah.
The cleaner intro, which is usually what people play wrong. Most people think that it's, a standard E minor chord. And it's not. He's playing an E inversion here at the 7th fret.
Yeah, I think that's how I've always done it.
Yep.
So you're telling me that's wrong?
When you played the C to D walk up, you played it wrong.
Close
End of
enough.
the day, it doesn't fucking matter. It's what inspires
But
you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that whole song, I love the slow midsection, and his lead runs in that song, just the whole thing. I mean,
Sorry.
I tried to learn the solo to that once, and I was surprised with that little walk up that he does, the ding, 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 with the bending and all that. It was really, really surprising to me how simple it was, but how good that it sounded.
right. The thing that kills me in the solo is, do you do the how the fuck does it go? Fuck, I don't remember. But when he goes to the tapping part, it's the super stretch. It's the 12, 8, 3. And then that's fine. But walking it to the B and getting the open B in there with it, I can't do it.
Right.
My pinky is just dead weight when it comes to stuff like that.
So Humans Beings was the song that did it for you, and you had to pick up a guitar.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's get over here to the chat just real quick. Let's see. Scroll back up a little bit. I just noticed this just a second ago. Papa Blue, man. So sorry to hear this. He says, my 38-year-old son passed away unexpectedly of trying to get back on my feet.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yep.
We all feel for you, brother. We'll all be thinking of you.
That's rough, man.
Yeah.
It's
Nobody
none of us
should bury their kids, man.
none of us can really give any advice that would make you feel better or anything like that, man. It's just, got to keep going.
You got the community here, and tuck in as much as you can and enjoy. It's there's nothing good about what you're going through, dude. So
Yep. As long as you have the memories and it's in your mind, it'll live forever, man. For sure. So we're thinking about you.
Yep.
AMC Kingdom says Jamie's crying. Oh, I guess he was trying to guess your tune. Let's see. Gene Spliced says even with the stutter. The tune they used on movie A Twister. That is correct.
That is correct.
Let's see. Zach Thong, Randy and I are the young guns around here. Channel member and our favorite firefighter, Andy Carson, is here. Greetings, salutations. Right back at you, sir. Good to see you.
What's up, dude?
Let's see. CLS. Christopher Live Sova is here. Says, get out, get live, or get old. What is up, fellas? Man, we're just chilling, hanging out, man. Let's see. We have an evil bastard is here. Says Aerosmith, Rats in the Cellar blew my mind. I was hooked. So absolutely, everybody in the chat, let us know what your riffs were as well. Let's see. Darboard says that hurt just watching you do that stretch, Randy.
Yeah.
We got Arf is here as well. Good to see you, Arf. Offered some condolences to Papa Blue. And KXM Rock. Did we say hey KXM Rock? We're going to say it right now. He says Young Guns. Wasn't that a Bon Jovi tune? I think so.
It was a movie, wasn't it?
Young Guns.
Blaze of Glory was
That was in Young Guns 2, I think, yeah.
That was Jeff Beck on lead guitar on that tune.
Oh, interesting. All right. Who's next? John?
Yeah, I'll go. It's show my age again. Randy showing how young he is. Mine is I think it was the first. I mean, I played in like country bands with my dad and stuff, right? So it was always that kind of shit. I think it was MTV or Much Music up here. My sisters had older sisters, so they were into that stuff. And I heard this thing, and it was a. That was it. I was like, "Fuck me,"
Right?
and I can't remember the rest of you. I can't remember how it went. But yeah, it was Eddie. Of course it was. Right?
Now, these riffs that we're talking about, certainly the riff that you heard that got you into playing guitar, but I'm assuming that some more of these later will be some that inspired you to learn a different technique, or maybe it's a riff that you've carried on that you continue to play and sneak into stuff that we do live here or something like that. So
yeah, I think once we kind of open up the conversation, because I misunderstood what Randy was saying.
Gotcha.
So I'm not really prepared. So I'm trying to remember how to play some of these old tunes.
Be thinking about it. Let's see. Papa says thanks to everyone. It's absolutely the worst thing that can happen to parents, for sure, man. I remember when this was years ago, 90s. My brother passed, and I remember my father telling me that. And he says this is the worst feeling I could possibly have. Losing one of his sons. So, man, I feel it. I feel what you're feeling, man. I get it. Mr. Dan Gorman says, "Bring It On Home" from Zeppelin is a great riff. Yep. Let's see. Rob Blackmore, "I've always loved Respect the Wind" from the Twister soundtrack. Yeah, it's a good one. Let's see. Zach said, "Nice, John." KXM Rock loves the tune. Hear about it later. Sova says, "Best Friend's Girl" by the Cars was my first riff.
Yep.
Excellent.
That's a good one.
Excellent. Gene Spliced, "It's a toss-up for me. Eric Johnson, Cliffs of Dover, and Joe Satriani, the entire Surfing with the Alien album."
Yep.
Very cool. Let's see what else is going on. Hey, 40 Grit is here. Channel member.
brother.
What's up, Mike? He says, "Man, where do I start?" At the beginning, the very first riff that you said, "I have got to learn to play guitar to be able to do that." Bo says, "I'm going to check out Eric Gales on Friday at the Token Lounge."
That's a badass show. If you've never seen Eric Gales, that dude's a monster.
Bo always checking out the stuff. Maybe Sova will come join you. All right, Trev. Were you prepared?
You don't have to play it, man.
No, you don't have to play it. Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't really thinking relative to inspiring towards guitar, just ones that kind of grabbed you by the boo-boos. But I guess it's kind of a crossover anyways. I mean,
Well, there had to be something where you're like, I want to play that. I want to play that on guitar.
well, yeah. I mean, the first few riffs that I actually learned once I got a guitar and was trying to diddle around, is the Call of Cthulhu, Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Fade to Black, Metallica. And Children of the Sea, Black Sabbath.
Cool.
Featuring Ronnie James Dio on vocals. Those are probably the three that come to mind first.
Mm-hmm.
All of which that I fumble around with a little bit on the guitar.
A little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. A lot of these riffs, we're still working on them to this day. So let's see. Mr. Franklin says, "Going to show my age. I know you guys don't like Kiss, but it was Black Diamond.
I
Whatever,
appreciate what what Kiss did.
whatever inspires you, man."
Yeah, exactly.
See, I was when I was first aware of Kiss, I was so young that they were, scared the bejesus out of me. This big demon man, 7 feet tall, walking around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The blood and the fire.
Let's see. Stu Petty is here. Right on. Good to see you, Stu. R says, "Picked up an acoustic and fiddled Best Friend's Girlfriend, sort of. Brother's friend showed me Day Tripper later that same day, and I was hooked." There you go. Very cool. All right, so I guess it's my turn. All right, so get over here. Now, obviously, you see what guitar that I've broken out. So for me, I forget how old I was. I must have been probably 13, 14 years old or so. And when I heard, and it sounds cliche or whatever, but everybody knows I'm a big Van Halen fan. Randy's first was a Van Halen lick. Mine was as well. I can remember riding around with my brother and his friend, and they had the Van Halen. You know, I had heard, you know, like some other Van Halen stuff on the radio, but they had the Van Halen cassette, you know, the first album, and put it in, and Eruption came on. And a lot of people say Eruption's what got me playing it. For me, it was. I heard it, and I was like, holy crap. I want to know how he's doing that, and I want to be able to do it. So my first guitar that I got, I would, in one section in particular that really caught my attention. You know, the whole thing is really, really cool. But what caught my attention, it had me trying to figure out how the heck he was doing it. So I would take my pick and I would just kind of mimic it, and I would, you know, go like, let's see. And I would try to figure out how the heck he was doing what he was doing, you know. So that was the first thing that really, really inspired me to pick up a guitar and figure out what the heck they were doing. You know, and I didn't ever see how he played it, you know. But the first little piece of music, or, you know, riff, lick, whatever you want to call it, that really inspired me to pick up the guitar was this section here of Eruption. So that little section right there is what forced me to pick up a guitar and start learning and figuring out how he actually did that section right there.
Hell yeah, man.
So that's what got me hooked. Let's see what else is going on. Hey, we got Melted Copper is here saying happy Tuesday. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Out on the streets for a living. Oh. Well, I hope you get back into an apartment soon. R said to practice that riff till I could play it. Let's see. Evil Bastard says Gene Simmons' Kiss solo album scared me to death. Heard it at a buddy's house. I still swear Gene chased me home that night. Never pedaled that bike faster up a hill from hell to get home safe. Let's see. Sova says it's the first time I've heard OU817. Thanks, Beesman. Play a Roth era note. Well, where have you been, man? I've played several Roth era notes.
Right.
Let's see. Rob Blackmore Official says, I also love Top of the World and Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do intros. Those are good.
Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do is just a fucking phenomenal song all the way through.
Mm-hmm. That actually was going to be one of my riffs later on.
So mine too, but that's
was
off
it?
my list.
It's all good. Top of the World. Let's see. How did that start? Is that the one that's... I got you. Yep. Awesome lick. You know, and that's actually the ending to 1984 Jump. At the end of Jump, you hear him doing that.
Yep.
Let's see. Stephen Franklin, Black Diamond lyrics.
Black Diamond.
Right on, man. I tell you what, that's what inspired me to pick one up. Bo says, I seen him do that on his white Destroyer in 78 when he opened for a Destroyer. That would have been very, very cool, man. That's awesome. So you got that memory. Let's see. Cakes and Rock. I forgot how to play Eruption once I learned, and it wasn't that good on my part anyway, but I learned it. That's what I say. I still can't play the whole thing all the way through. I can fuddle my way through it, but I don't think there'll ever be a time that I can play it exactly like he did.
Spent months and months and months and months learning Eruption as best as I could learn it as a teenager, and I used to play it all the time, and I haven't played it in probably 20 years.
Mm-hmm. I know that John loves to hear it all the time. All right, let's see. Okay, Randy, your turn. What's your next one?
I dropped my pick. So, of course, I went down Van Halen road. After that, I had to get all the albums and all that stuff, and then we end up getting into the next one, and see if I can play this right. That was like, oh my god! And I spent months and months trying to perfect this. Granted, at this point, I'd probably been playing 6 months, so it was a super struggle to get it right. But this was the very next one that I can remember being hugely influential. Light Up the Sky.
Right on, man. Right on. That's another good one for sure.
I ended up with Van Halen 2 before Van Halen 1, and that and DOA were the 2 tracks on that album that was just like, oh, nonstop on repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, were these riffs that, like, I got to learn this little piece of the riff, or were you looking at learning the whole song?
Always the whole song. Always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was dark side of the guitar. I was like, I want to learn that little piece, and then I would learn that and go, that's so cool to play that, and then I would move on to another piece, and I never would learn a whole song.
I had a Iowa big radio CD, like 5-disc CD player with 2 Kenwood 10s hooked to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put on whatever band I was learning their songs, and I would put that fucker on 10, crank the amp up, and I would, being 13, 12 years old, I was playing the concert. So,
right.
And how my parents put up with that shit, I don't know, but they did.
I'm glad that they did. Yeah, for sure.
I think my mom secretly loved it, even though she would yell at me to turn it down. I'm like, well, I can't hear it if I turn it down.
Turn that shit down.
And that, I think, and even at a young age, like I said, 12, 13, 14 years old, by doing that, there's a feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
You've got you got the big 10-inch Kenwoods pumping sound at you, and the amp behind you pumping sound from behind you, and it's just, there's a different feel to playing it loud than sitting there at like super bedroom quiet volume practicing these things.
Mm-hmm.
So now we do it with headphones.
All right, John, your turn. What's your next one?
I'll play the other part that I know better. The Rover.
Okay.
Sorry for the butchery, but
This is Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, yes.
So what about that? Was it just the...
It was really like the riff is. So it's a grooving little pop thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I really liked was the turnaround. I guess that and I always liked it. And then when I heard years later Eddie do it, the bootleg of him doing it, I was like, fuck me. That's awesome.
So it had an Eddie tie back to it then.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Stu Petty's asking, anyone who got the new MoFi Van Halen Fair Warning vinyl? I don't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Unless that's what I had purchased in a box set that I'm not aware of, that I haven't played yet. Sova says, effing DOA, my all-time favorite Van Halen song. Dead or Alive. Cool, man. The 80s was the era of the car stereo. Holy, we had some systems. You got that right.
Kenwoods and the Alpines.
Dan Gorman recognized it. The Rover. Stu Petty says, nice, John. Right on. All right. Trev, your turn. What's some others that were inspiring to you?
Well, if we're going to go back to some of the Van Halen roots, is for me, it was Unchained with a side of Fair Warning. You know, listening to that album was definitely an eye-opening experience at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Going from mainstay normal radio stuff to Buddy's album collection. Go over there and get stupid high and listen to LPs. And boy, every time he put on that Fair Warning album, just delicious, just delicious.
Cool. Well, mine next one is going to be kind of a twofer because I still really can't play the one that I really wanted to ever since I'd heard it. I just don't practice it enough, but I'll do that one first and then I'll do the second one. See that? All that Mean Street stuff, you know. But that was a riff that still inspired me to want to be able to learn how to do that, even though I still haven't been able to do it. But the other one. There was always something about that effect that he got on that. I was like, how in the hell did he do that? And then finally figured it out. It was the Phase 90. And I always thought that was one of the coolest riffs and licks ever.
That is cool, man.
All right, Randy, your turn.
So after, Van Halen thing, what?
Did I steal one of yours with that one?
No. I got super deep into Metallica.
Oh,
all right.
here we go.
And learning Metallica for years is pretty much what shaped the old right wrist action.
You sure it was Metallica and not Playboy?
Yeah.
Copious masturbation.
Playboy was lame, dude. I had the internet by the time I was a teenager. I didn't need Playboy.
Right?
Saw shit you shouldn't have no right seeing.
Well, I had my best friend growing up. His parents were like 17 when he was born, so they were much younger than my parents. My parents' music was rooted in the 60s and 70s, and they were very much of the 80s metal scene.
What is that? Wayne McConnell, welcome in, man.
What's up, Wayne? So I heard this tune, and who the fuck is that? I gotta learn it. It's the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. Went a little something like this.
That one deserved a round of applause.
It was good, man.
Yeah, man.
The old creeping death. See, so knows, man. So knows.
Yep, he's got it. Cool.
And
That's a
that
good one.
started the whole Metallica train, and there's 1.5 million Metallica riffs I could play, but that was definitely the one that started Metallica fixation. So
Nice.
Dig it.
Very cool.
John?
Van Halen was huge, but I was always into them, but I kind of moved on. Well, just different influences, right? Because, I mean, we started getting into the 90s, and that was when a lot of the early 90s, when the grunge stuff started happening, and the Soundgardens and all that. But I was, like, even underneath that, and it was King's X. King's X did. So the one that really got me was Cigarettes off of Dogman. Let's see if I can remember how to play it. And then I go over there. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. Anyways, I'm making more of a mess of it.
Very cool. Very cool. So on my journey of learning guitar, obviously Van Halen was the big thing, and that, was a lot of what I was focusing on. But I then heard a band called Pink Floyd, and I was really, really inspired by one tune, so much so that a little band that I was in when I was still learning to play, we actually played this tune, and it was I was inspired to learn the solo for it because it sounded so fantastic just in the mix of the song and just the whole thing put together. So this is something that really, really pushed me and inspired me to continue learning guitar, was this Pink Floyd solo for Mother. Something like that. I can't remember then. Yeah, that one too. What was it? There it is. So that was one that when I heard that tune with the acoustic guitar over the top, and then it busts into the doo-doo, and then that solo comes in. Oh, something about that just moved me. And I was like, I have got to learn to do that. So I actually think that was my first full solo for a song that I learned all the way through. So that was very, very inspiring to me to be pushed to learn that one. All right, Randy is up next. Let's check in with the chat though, see if anything else is going on. Let's see. Keep going, RFP.
I can do the whole
He's
thing.
up for another round. Zach Thong says the very first Van Halen song I learned, I know they didn't write the song, but I learned it from Van Halen, Ice Cream Man. Very cool, man. That's on the acoustic guitar, I'm assuming. And then, did you learn the solo as well? I'd like to hear you play that if you know that. That'd be cool.
Play it in open E flat.
Hey,
Did.
Sova says break out some Dire Straits, John. He might a little bit. Sova says shine on you crazy diamond. Yep, that's another good Pink Floyd. Evil Bastard, yeah buddy, Joe Perry made me want to play. Gilmore made me want to learn how to play. Very inspiring for sure. Dahlia Mendez is here. Good to see you, Dahlia.
What's up, Dahlia?
Singing some Dire Straits.
Money.
Let's see. Sova says, I did Tuesday's show the best trophy. Is this moving to Saturday nights? No, this one's going to stay on Tuesday. Sova, dig. Oh, I dig Tuesday's show the best. Right on, man. Let's see. Andy Carson, the first thing I heard that got me was Jimi Hendrix, Star Spangled Banner. Then it was Running with the Devil. Now, the Hendrix Star Spangled Banner thing, I think that's what Greasy Monkey Guitars said, that his inspiration, he walked by a TV and he heard that going on. So got some similarities there. Let's see. Then it was Running with the Devil. Both were heard on an old 500-pound console stereo at my neighbor's house when I was 10. Right on, man. Very cool. Let's see. KXM Rocks. I was taught some Rush as a beginner. 2112 Overture, Temple of Syrinx. Syrinx. Another one I forgot. So it says, that's awesome. I can picture that cabinet. You know, it's funny, the old stereo that we had in our house, the cabinets, you know, were probably about that tall and about that wide. And they were this old, you know, brownish, you know, color. And then the front screen on it was like a brownish coffee with cream color. And when my dad got the new Sony system, those old speakers, I took those and put them in my car. I just threw them in the back seat and wired them up. And I had, that was the poor man's stereo system in the car.
Right.
It had one of those Radio Shack equalizers up front too. You know, it was like the boost button. You hit it and everything just got louder.
Right.
The good old days. Let's see. The old stereo console. Cushman NYC channel member is here and lurking. Good to see you, man. Thanks for saying you are here. Match the paneling on the walls. They did, for sure. Absolutely, they did. Yep. Zach says, no, I didn't learn the solo to Ice Cream Man. The last time I played Ice Cream Man was 6 years ago at a friend's backyard pool party. Still cool, man. Still cool.
That solo's got the ultimate Eddie stretch.
Oh, my Lord.
12, 16, 19. I can't even.
Oh, my Lord. This just in. Dalia Mendez has an indecent proposal for John. Hey, boyfriend, want to go halves on a baby? We'll definitely have
100% unequivocally, no fucking way.
I was gonna say we'll have more on this as the story develops, but I think the story just ended.
Yeah, hard no.
That's good. That's funny.
It was good because I had them, and it's good because they're in their.
They're now growing up.
Yeah.
Rob says tortoiseshell finish. Not quite tortoiseshell, but close. Sova's wondering what Natalie's first riff was. Well, when we get her back on, we'll ask her, and hopefully that'll be soon. She's got some really cool stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So we may talk about that this coming A Trans Trim Thursday. Let's see. And all right, so did we get your next one, Randy, or we're ready for it?
Nope.
Yeah, we're ready.
So the next song / guitar player that had the big impact on the playing. I don't know. Remember VH1 had a show called The Rock Show, or it was like what replaced Headbangers Ball, but on VH1.
And it's what should have been on MTV all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I saw the live video on The Rock Show of this tune, and became my favorite tune of this particular band.
Right on. That sounded a whole lot like Alice in Chains.
That's because it is.
Right.
That would be my favorite all-time Alice in Chains tune, "Bleed the Freak" off the
Nice.
Facelift album.
Nice. Very cool.
Then I went off the deep end on Cantrell and Alice in Chains and learned half the Facelift album, almost all of Dirt. And
I knew there was a reason that we get along so well. We got all the same, interesting guitar players. We got Cool Tunes Made Easy is here. It says, I remember it was a little power booster, a little bitty Radio Shack realistic. It had like 5 little sliders and a boost button on it. It's awesome. Let's see. Darboard says 50 years ago, my relatives wouldn't let me even touch the guitar for fear I would break it. That started it all. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the guest of honor here, the most honorable Father Boner Jams is here, channel member. Welcome in, Boner. He says, heard Natalie was coming on. True story? It could be. It could be. Yeah. There's some plans. There's some talk.
Definitely due for a visit.
Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, geez. I'm not highlighting that one. Let's see. Cool Tunes Made Easy. It says, blew at least 4 pairs of speakers back in the day, getting high and driving to Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, good old AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, good old days. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dia says, I was listening to Bush, the band, last night and really liked them. Very cool. Let's see. What is that one that they have? Machine Head. Let's see. Boner talking to Andy Carson. Remember when she said she wanted to have my children live with 0 people watching? Cantrell. Let's see. Rob Blackmore says, favorite Testament riff and song? Randy?
Whoa.
Got to think about it in a minute.
Probably Into the Pit or Disciples of the Watch.
There you have it. Bo says his mom and dad started him on the accordion in 1972.
Down in polka.
I was just getting thought about in that year.
Right?
Yeah.
I was around. Let's see. Everything Zen rules. I don't care what anyone says Boner. Sova says, got to see the original Alice in Chains open for Kiss at Tiger Stadium 1997. Lane Staley only played 4 more live concerts before his exit. Got to see him right before the end, huh? I got to see him in 91 opening for Van Halen. And I still say to this day, absolute best show I have ever seen. Pink Floyd is a really close second to that one. There's sometimes I'm like, well, maybe Pink Floyd was more epic, but no, Alice in Chains and Van Halen at the same time was awesome. Hey, we got channel member Blue Mox is here. Says, cheers everyone, lurking and enjoying the show. Right on, man. Evil Bastard Testament's version of Nobody's Fault was amazing. Very cool. Mel Johnson, Detroit Rock City. Bo says, maybe play at all these VFW halls with the Polish orchestra.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope. Getting your feet wet.
Yeah, laying the foundation.
Let's see. Let's see. At least you didn't start with the bagpipes. That's Cool Tunes. Oh, my word. Boner saw Randy protesting earlier today in L.A. Love you, Randy.
There's lighting police cars on fire.
Right?
If I was going to go protest somewhere, I'd go fucking burn the IRS building down or something.
Oh,
I
jeez.
care nothing about going out there smashing glass on Rodeo Drive, let me tell you.
All right, let's see. Is it John's turn again? John, it's another riff that inspired you.
Pink Floyd. I mean, it's kind of one of the root or the base ones for me. But I really got into when I was young, like young, the one that got me was, I don't know if I'm playing it right, but
Look, Mommy, there's an airplane up in the sky.
yep. And then that whole album, that was The Wall. It was
Yep.
life changing for me. A lot of people say, what was the one before it? Come on, Dark Side of the Moon, right? I love it. It's good, but that was the album, and that was when I really became aware of Gilmour. You know, it's so good you feel inadequate, right? You'll never be able to do that. Or never. But yeah, that album, I wore the hell out of that thing.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon was the album for me. And then, you know, The Wall, when I discovered that. Obviously, they both were out at the same time, you know, as I was discovering them.
Yeah.
But the Dark Side of the Moon, and then actually what first got me into, no, it wouldn't have been then. Later, it was Delicate Sound of Thunder, when that double CD was out with their live.
Yeah.
Man, I wore all of that stuff out, just taking it all in.
The cool thing with having older sisters is they were into Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall, so I got exposed to that when I was really young.
Yeah.
And then when Delicate came out, I think it was 88. I think is when that
Probably.
came out.
Yep.
So think about 88. That's OU812 and Delicate Sound of Thunder. I mean, and I was what 14 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely epic.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah.
Let's see. KXM Rock is playing some mouth harp riffs. Any Def Leppard? He's asking. Not for me. There was nothing really that inspired me. You know, I was older and into my guitar journey by the time that they were becoming popular. Let's see. Arf says life changed when I was shown the Dunka Dunka Blues Shuffle in E. Let's see. Talk
Did I
about
get him into
LA.
John Duchesne got me into what? Probably something terrible. It just scooted past.
Gene Splice says, who actually inspired me to pick up my guitar and play was Jimi Hendrix, and as well as a lot of people, I'm sure. Rock Daddy is here. Good to see you, man. Says howdy.
Well, brother.
Right on. Evil Bastard. Pink Floyd obscured by clouds. Pink Floyd as a garage band, written and recorded in about 2 weeks. So that was some inspiration for you. Goodbye Blue Sky was the name of that tune there, John.
Yep.
Let's see. John Duchesne got me into Symmetry. Got you in the back door.
Roofie.
High school was 81 to 84. We had the best music of all time. I would agree with that. You were a little bit before me. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Big howdies right back to you, Rock Daddy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man.
Boner Jam says, One by Metallica got me into guitar. See, that's surprising. I would think that it would have been some kind of that Slipknot stuff.
I don't know yet.
That would have worked with his age and everything. Yeah, one. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's the one that broke out with the video, right? Started getting played on MTV. We probably started exposing people to Metallica that wouldn't normally be exposed to Metallica.
It was funny, like with Metallica, I really liked them, like Ride the Lightning, Justice for All, Master of Puppets. No desire to play any of it. I absolutely love those albums. And even in the Black Album, I love that. And then I was out, but didn't want to play it.
This is a cool story. Zach was sitting in the acoustic room at a Long and McQuaid, and he ended up jamming with a dude, and turned out he was Dave from Sum 41. Cool, man. Let's see, what else? Boner graduated high school in 99. Were you held back a couple of years too? Or? Bo says, have not seen anyone here get into Robin Trower in here. Amazing stuff. I respect what he does. It just was kind of out of my wheelhouse a little bit.
Yeah, a little more.
We're kind of also, Bo, talking about the formative stuff that really got us into it. Because I mean,
Got us going. Yep.
later I got to Robin Trower, and then I, went down a huge jazz thing, Pat Metheny and Chick Corea and all those guys. And
Yeah, Pat Metheny.
So you got any more inspiring riffs?
I do. I mean, a big part of these inspiring riffs is also these branches of music that sprouted out of the trunk and kind of took things in a different direction. That Ride the Lightning, when I first heard that, it was like, holy...
Be safe, Andy. We'll see you when you get back, man.
Cheers, brother. So another big one, when I first heard this band, and it was like, holy crap, what is that? I need to get me some more of that. And my Randy Price moment. Would be Cowboys from Hell, Pantera.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
The first time I heard that, I was like, ooh, this is killer. What is this?
Yeah.
And that really triggered and started off the whole dime bag thing, Mm-hmm. That vulgar video. We were watching that every weekend at church.
Right.
Fucking drinking along to dime bag.
Trying to
Very
keep
cool.
up.
Very cool, man. So is it my turn again? So I think that on my guitar journey, around this time of learning different things, I was introduced and just completely wore out Live Without a Net. So every bit of me being able to see what he was doing and being able to just be inspired by the one thing with Live Without a Net was the first time I really got to see the joy on Eddie's face when he was playing.
Always smiling.
And it just really freaking inspired me, man. And one of the things that I thought was the coolest sound ever was when he goes over and he plops down on the stage and he's about to do his solo and he goes into this. Little strum that he does on that last little A chord where you hear all this crang and grang, on that chord, man, that just freaking brought tears to my eyes as I watched that, and that inspired me to learn that portion right there. So obviously all my stuff is Van Halen influenced big time, but that was on my journey. That was probably the next thing that I forced and motivated myself to learn, was that little riff and that 316 intro. At that time, we didn't know it was called 316. It was just how he started the solo. But man, I just thought that was just
That was pretty epic.
even today, man. It's just epic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, who's next? Randy. What's your next one?
Trying to think.
See you, bastard.
Later, man. Rob Blackmore will probably be extremely thrilled with this. But like I said, I spent a lot of time hanging out at my buddy's house and borrowing CDs from his parents' massive metal CD collection. And I picked up an album called Somewhere in Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was this one. Wasted Years.
Right on. Very cool one.
Their last good album, as far as that's
No,
not it.
no,
That's
no,
Summer
no,
in
no.
Time.
Seventh Son.
Seventh Son. That's the one I meant to say. Randy.
I think that was the last Adrian Smith album until
Wasted
he came back.
Years.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, John, what's your next one?
I don't know if I play it right. Probably not, but. Pantera.
Wonder.
Right on.
That. What was the album before that? Because that was on Far Beyond Driven, wasn't it?
Cowboys, Vulgar, Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah, I'm Broken's on Far Beyond Driven.
Yeah, so I got into them Cowboys, and that was the natural. And right about that time is when I kind of left Van Halen behind. Like when Balance came out, I didn't even buy that album.
Oh, wow.
No, I was firmly into the Pantera kind of Alice in Chains and heavy stuff then.
Cool.
Yeah, the early 90s was a trip, man.
Bo says, I know Somewhere in Time album backwards and forwards, Randy. Know most of the Maiden tunes up to that album. Amazing riffs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember,
Inspiring
Beast was my gateway
for
to
many.
Maiden.
And for the record, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is my favorite Maiden album. Somewhere in Time is a close second.
I like that one.
What's your
Live
next
album?
riffs there, Trev?
Next one is going to kind of back the bus up and go back in time a little bit, somewhere in time. But this one was kind of inspired by my stepfather, who was a hi-fi audiophile dude. He would go to all these jazz festivals and stuff. But he would throw on the ZZ Top LaGrange album. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that one always managed to get the foot tap in, you know, that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, whose turn is it now?
Yours.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right. So carrying on with the Live Without a Net.
We knew this was going to be heavy Van Halen focus.
Yeah, I mean, but it's all about what inspired us to learn different things. You know, why did we want to learn what we wanted to learn? So, pretty much that whole Live Without a Net solo. I'll go over just two things that I was really, really enamored with and tried to pick up from that solo. One of the things that I thought that was really, really cool. So I'll just do that first, and then I'll go into the second thing, which was the first part is the harmonic tapping that he does.
Yep.
And then the second part was I really wanted to learn to do the trill picking. So I'll do those riffs there. Yep. Exactly. So those were a couple of the things that, I'd forgotten about the Spanish fly part, but I just kind of naturally went into that after that tapping. Those items there inspired me when I saw that I've got to figure out how the hell he's doing that. So that was part of my journey, was seeing that Live Without a Net guitar solo spot. Yeah. Just really, really a lot of the tricks that he did, I just thought were the coolest things ever. So I had to figure out how to do it. Randy?
Well, John kind of touched on the next one, but I'm from a different album. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
A new level.
Killer.
I love
Killer, man.
the Vulgar Display of Power album.
Now, Randy, are you doing yours in order as well as kind of the flow that they came in?
Yeah, pretty
Sort of?
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Awesome.
I absolutely am not.
John's like, no, I'm just doing the best I can.
The neat
So-
thing about Dimebag though is when he would play riffs like that riff in A New Level, the faster part, he would alternate where he would do multiple upstrokes in a row instead of all downs or just straight alternate picking.
Cool.
It was pretty neat.
Matt Stewart is here. Welcome in. The man with the Pantera avatar. He says, a new level. Right on. Dennis Ellis is here as well, throwing up the horns for us. Right on. Good to see you, Mr. Ellis. Welcome in. Welcome in. Rob Blackmore says, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son is a killer Maiden album. Hard to pick just one track from that album, but I would pick The Clairvoyant. Right on.
This is Clairvoyant and Moonchild. Well, the whole fucking album. I don't skip tracks on that album. Same with Somewhere in Time. I don't skip tracks on that album either.
Infinite Dreams. I always love that tune.
Yeah, great song.
Yep.
Can I play
All right.
Madness?
You got another one, John?
So I grew up, believe it or not, my parents were super religious, so they really watched what we listened to. But I can't remember what year the album came out, but I think I got it that year. It was the Brothers in Arms album from the Dire Straits, and there's no riffs on that at all. But I mean that particular song.
There's some tasty licks for sure.
That song in particular, Brothers in Arms,
Mm-hmm.
that was literally one of the first times I actually, got really emotional and
Yeah,
might
gets
have
your
shed a
feels.
tear
Yep.
listening to stuff. And that's always been kind of, him and Gilmore have been the base or the root of where I wish I could come from, All the rest of it's bullshit, really.
Is Telegraph Road on that album? That's another
What's
good
that?
one. The Telegraph Road?
I
That's
went
another
back.
good
No, that's before. And then there was Romeo and Juliet and Down to the Waterline and all that stuff. It's all fucking great.
Right on. Let's see. KXM Rock says, I need to get a deck Floyd with a D-tuner. Yes, you do. For sure. And we also he says, Sea of Madness.
Yep.
Boys, look at here. Evil Bastard. Right on. Evil Bastard has just become a YouTube member. Thank you so much for the support, man. We appreciate you helping out the channel in that manner.
Welcome aboard.
Greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you. Rob says, me either, start to finish. Gene Splice says mid-80s.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, the Brothers in Arms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was early, because I
It had to have
must
been
have been
around.
12 or something like that, man.
It had to have been around. No, it was later, I think. 86,
Okay,
85, 86.
When did Brothers in Arms come out?
The Dire Straits album,
85?
Brothers in Arms, was released on May 17th, 1985.
There we go.
85, yeah.
So it's right in the, the Virgin
Yeah.
5150
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Pink Floyd, the Delicate Sound. And what a wonderful time, right?
Mm-hmm, for sure. All right, Trev, you got anything else? You got some more inspirational riffs or licks?
Well,
Obviously, you're still on your journey. So,
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything right now that is inspiring you? Like, man, I want to learn that riff.
I kind of submersed myself into getting my head around this circle of fifths and the theory with the fucking modes and shit.
Right.
But just to touch on that Iron Maiden thing, I mean, they have so many of those albums that are start to finish albums.
Yep.
That Peace of Mind comes. I love to listen to Peace of Mind, start to finish. Power Slave, start to finish. It's like a meal. You eat all 7 courses. It's just
Oh, Trev,
so good.
second week in July,
Yeah.
Whiskey weekend.
we can do that, and we can do a listening party. Start at the earliest good Iron Maiden album and go right through to at
Good
least
call, good call.
Seventh Son.
I'll have to book some days. I still have lots of holidays left, so.
Very cool. We'll all be looking forward to the streaming of that. You can do a 24-hour marathon.
Maybe.
You can try. Yeah, we'll sleep in shifts.
You'll have to do it in 5-hour increments
Yeah.
because EV Muck's only allow. And I think StreamYard was that way too. You could only go for a certain amount of time.
I used to be on another show that would go for like 8 hours at a time. You didn't have that problem.
I don't know. All right, is it my turn again?
Cheers.
I think next along
Peter
the
Stroker in the house.
right on, man, right on. Welcome in. Let's get him. Kevin Brava, formerly known as Peter Stroker. Welcome in, man. All right, so I'm still on live without a net.
I'm waiting for one in particular.
There's
Yeah, I have purposely said the tune. I've been waiting.
so the one tune that I think is probably the most epic intro and riff that has ever been played on any.
Particularly the performance.
Yes. So I will try to do it some justice here, but I can't promise that. But this tune was just so inspiring to me, and I wanted to learn the intro part to it. Okay, I fucked it up. Let me start it again.
Did you get Randy to play it? I think.
Anyway, something like that. The 5150 riff.
Yeah, 100%.
I just screwed up something over here. And Randy was inspired by that one too. You want to do your version, Randy?
Now that I've changed guitars to a guitar that's not in drop D,
Okay, never mind. But I think it is your turn though.
well, it's not 5150, but the next one that really was like blew me away guitar wise. Me under.
There we go.
Got into Dream Theater probably about 15 or 16 and went and found a VHS copy of the old Petrucci Rock Discipline video and started trying to copy Petrucci licks and failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
You're not the first.
I guess their most current album at that time was probably 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. So that got played on repeat. Awake, Images of Words, and then when Train of Thought come out, which I guess is probably their most metal album. Still, that Train of Thought's probably my favorite Dream Theater album besides Awake. But yeah, that was Petrucci was a pretty big influence there for a good while.
Cool. John, you got another one?
Nothing. Yeah. I don't think I can play anything by them, but I'm see if I can. Queensryche.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I was
Minecraft.
way into Queensryche because the age difference, right? I mean, Queensryche was my dream theater, so Rage for Order, Operation Mindcrime,
Queen of the Rag.
yeah, all that stuff. It's killer, absolutely killer. It was that
Great
whole
concert.
scene.
The
that
Empire
whole scene
concert.
was- yeah,
Trev, what you got?
be right back, boys.
What do I got? I'm trying to come up with something more recent, something made in the last couple of decades. I don't know.
Right?
That the first time I heard Gojira was a bit of an eye opener too. I was like, "Ooh, what is this? I can kind of get into this." You know, our good fellow co-host R2 does an excellent version of Silvera, and it just kind of brought a whole different realm of heaviness to the party that I can really dig.
Very cool.
Probably
All
as
right.
close as I'll ever get to a telly.
All right, so one of the next ones that really kind of inspired me and got me kind of into this band, you know, everybody else was, you know, Stairway to Heaven, but which is really cool. But the riff that got me into Led Zeppelin was this one here. If I remember how to play it.
Dig it.
Just the way it kind of came in with that
no
riff
quarter,
and then
that's
came
what they call it.
down. Yeah, no quarter, man. It just freaking blew me away when I heard that. So that was my next inspiring riff to continue to learn and to actually get into a different band and, you know, listen to different stuff there.
Another
So,
branch, yeah.
yep, for sure. All right, Randy, your turn.
Now,
He's like, I only said 3 or 4 or 5, man.
it don't matter. Trying to think what I got big into after Dream Theater. I kind of stayed in that bubble there for a while. You know, by this point, high school, you know, that was the beginning of the big new metal scene. And if I had my 7-string here, I would play you some new metal stuff, but it's in my storage unit, so I can't. But I never really got super huge into the new metal stuff. I didn't care for it. There was no solos and any of that kind of stuff. So I was like, there's no technicality to this. This is boring. So, but I ended up pretty well going backwards through the 80s into the late 70s with my guitar taste and players and whatnot. So it's probably around the time that I found Gary Moore. And if I can remember it, this was probably one of my favorite Gary Moore, his rock, early heavy metal era, early 80s, before he went back to the blues. See if I can remember it real quick. It's a song called Murder in the Skies. Remember when I wasn't born yet, but remember when I guess the Soviets shot down that Korean airliner in like 82 or something like that? That's what that song's about. But it's got killer guitar riffs and a smoking solo. And yeah, I heard that song. And I think it was a live video I saw of it, and Gary was playing like a white early 60s Strat single coils, and it was like the heaviest sounding single coil guitar sound I'd ever heard in my life.
Joe says, Piscine highways.
Parisian.
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 Parisian, excuse me. Parisian.
Parisian.
He does admit he spelled it wrong. All right. John, it's your turn again.
I think the earlier stuff, like I was really into Zeppelin, Sabbath, all because I was growing up kind of. That was where it went, and then after the '90s, I got into Incubus and stuff like that. But then I just kind of went off into old Jeff Beck and the jazz thing and Chick Corea and just really kind of took a break from looking for rock stuff got boring for me.
Complete left turn,
Broaden your
something
horizon.
different.
Yeah. Peter Gabriel. I mean, that was always part of it, but a lot more of the
Was it Monty Python that said, "And now for something completely different"?
yeah, yeah, and that's kind of where I landed in that. I like soloing and expressing myself and stuff, but it's all about the mood and what.
Sean plays guitars here. Welcome in, man.
Hey,
Good to see
how are
you.
Yeah, Arf, John McLaughlin, all those guys that are just, in my opinion, any one of those old jazz box boys could wipe the floor with pretty much any modern musician, right? And I just,
Some Dave Dude. What is up, man? Channel member. Some Dave Dude. Welcome in, man.
that's kind of the where I look for stuff that isn't necessarily just stock riffs, Try and incorporate the arpeggios and resting on not the minor third, rest on something else, and doesn't work all the time. But so yeah,
Just a whole different avenue of your guitar journey at that point.
yeah. Then I was doing original stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So we were
That kind of becomes your own inspiration of stuff in your head
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
and then
But when you found that you started doing, original tunes, did you find yourself incorporating some of those licks that you had been inspired by?
well, this is
working
kind of
in.
where I wanted to get to eventually. I mean, we can keep going round in circles, and I'm happy to do it. But it's where the main inspiration you take with Gilmore. It's his feel, it's his soul, it's all the rest of it. With Eddie, to me, it was always his rhythm playing,
The groove.
90% of the time for me, and his solo stuff without the tapping. I was never a huge fan of that. To me, that was just kind of a thing, and I didn't get it quite the same way that a lot of other people do. But his rhythm playing, and especially stuff like his B sections and all his playing as a rhythm player, like I'll catch heat for this, but listen to Van Halen 3 and just listen to the rhythm playing and this shit that he's playing. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
That
Well,
middle
even going-
section of One I Want,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the F sharp progression is
Yeah.
fucking badass, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even going back as far as push comes to shove, listen to all the changes and the stuff that he's doing, and
Yep.
it's all in the background, but it's meshing in and it's making, it's
Yeah.
just like, now what the heck? Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love his solo playing, and there's a lot of phrasing ideas I think I've adopted of his, like the 3-note kind of.
The triad stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but his rhythm playing, right? And just that kind of flying by the seat of your pants, really good.
Falling
And
down
then-
falling down a flight of stairs and landing on your feet.
Yeah, and then I went into the, Alan Halsworth thing, all the shit that he does, and then Lukather, and then I used to get branded by my bandmates as the pop guy, right? Because I'd be into Madonna. It didn't matter.
Right, yeah,
It
yeah.
was good music was good music to me, and it kind of got away from, practicing my downstrokes and trying to do massive shredding. That kind of died. It's like I worked on that 8 hours a night. I used to work at a gas station when I was like 16. And I bring a little Fender Princeton course in it, and I would sit there and have theory books, and I'd up and down,
Practice,
I'd
yeah.
learn my nose. But I mean, basically, when I got really good, it was nobody wanted to hear it anymore. So I just kind of, went with the song. A good song's a good song. And that's where genres don't matter. Like Gujira and stuff. I love all that stuff. That's just killer. I don't want to play it.
Right?
But
Yeah.
it's awesome, right?
Yeah.
That's
for
why I
sure.
like you guys, because everybody brings their own thing to it.
Yeah, a little mixture between. Well, cool, man. Trev, you got any others that were inspiring to you?
Absolutely. I'd be remiss if I was not to mention Glenn Tipton and K.K. Downing. The first time I heard the Sentinel, it was like, oh, that definitely made you want to grab a broomstick and do some whirlwind guitar shit on it.
Some air guitar strumming.
Yeah, that Screaming for Vengeance, Defenders of the Faith era. And now it's still one of my favorite things for a road trip is to go back to the beginning and do the discography for Judas Priest and some of that old stuff, man. I mean, they started off as a hippie band wearing bell bottoms with the long hairs and the flower shirts and shit. It just evolved into being, to this day, still one of the pinnacle corners of the heavy metal world for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Trev, you need me to play that for you?
Yes, please.
It's kind of hard to do in drop D.
I was looking at your finger. Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. I know that's one that you had been practicing on, Trev, for a while.
Yeah, definitely inspired by that one. I mean, the first touch with Judas Priest, when you go over at your buddy's place and his oldest brother's got this British Steel album, Breaking the Law. I mean, that's almost the smoke on the water part two when you really go into a fucking music store.
Yeah.
Everybody's learning how to play Breaking the Law. And as good as it was never grab you by the boo-boo like Screaming for Vengeance.
So Rob is asking, in your guys' opinion, what rhythm player do you think is a solid lead player when they step forward to play lead? I think John just answered that. Eddie Van Halen, I think, is the best rhythm player, and that's what he was a rhythm player, and then would play lead. I think he was the best. I don't know about you guys.
Well, he was unique in the sense that he had a lot of real estate to fill, but he didn't always fill it. He could wank and show off his skills a lot more than he ever did.
I'm going to name two, and one of them I'm going to catch shit for, so we'll go to the other one first.
Vernon Reed.
Fuck that guy. Jerry Cantrell.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, he's the riff lord, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And-
he's Tony Iommi at the 90s,
Right, exactly. And the other guy that I'm going to catch shit for, and I don't care, is Kirk Hammett. Because what is Kirk Hammett playing 98% of the time?
Yeah. Rhythm.
James Hetfield written rhythms. And he keeps up with it, no problem.
Yeah.
Go watch Seattle 89 from the Justice Tour, or any of the old Pro Shot stuff from 85 or 84, or I mean, even to now.
Video.
Yeah, Mexico 93, or the San Diego Sports Arena 92. I mean, he's playing all the same rhythm shit that Hetfield is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
the joke was back in the day that he was very low in the mix, but I mean, that's why you're saying you're gonna get shit for it, because that was our mentality, right?
Well, because it's Kirk Hammett for starters, and everybody hates Kirk Hammett nowadays. But the thing is, if you go watch, there's a great Pro Shot show from the Shoreline Amphitheater in '89, and I actually think it's a better show than Seattle '89. The problem is when it was converted to digital, I guess the tape probably needed to be baked, so it's got a shitload of tape flange in it.
Mm-hmm.
And but Kirk is not buried in the mix in that. He's not in Seattle 89 either. And I just saw him and he wasn't buried. His rhythms weren't buried in the mix there.
Right.
It's just, back in those days, Hetfield tracked all of the rhythm guitars and Hammett just did the leads and the overdubs. Whereas when Load came out, they started both tracking rhythm guitars. Kirk's in the right speaker, Hetfield's in the left.
Right.
And you can tell it's two separate players, but I mean, He's playing the same shit. And, you know, back then, back in the 80s and the early 90s, they're like all the other bands back then. They didn't play to click tracks. They didn't have in-ear monitors. So
to the Russian Dragon.
you, instead of getting Master of Puppets at 220 BPM, it's more like 245 BPM, 250
Depending
BPM.
on how much
Depending on
what's his face had there.
how
where
much-
it changes, yeah.
How much booger sugar Lars had ingested. I mean, go watch Battery from Seattle 89, and that shit's breakneck speed. So much so that Lars was using his other hi-hat on the right side because he was whacking himself in the arms trying to play it normally. You know? But
You ever see that clip of Hammett trying to learn?
some kind of monster.
Yeah, they're sitting in the studio and he keeps showing. He's like, no, it's
Well, that's why
You
the
know.
riff was dumbed down, because originally it was like. And Hammett was like. That's why the riff ended up getting changed to.
it was funny watching that because it sounded like a kid in Guitar Center trying to learn a Metallica song.
Right.
So the one where James is there and he just fucking eyeballing him. It's like,
Yeah, he's like, no, it's.
Yeah.
You know, you keep showing him. And it was the same. It was the same thing too. He was like, no, listen, it's. And he would do that too. It was
Right.
funny.
But you know, Hammett got into a big like slow blues jazz thing there in the 90s, and I don't really think he's really left it. You know, the flashy guitar solo, he doesn't give a shit. He just goes in there and does 20 takes and cut paste out of the takes he likes, and then he's got to go back and relearn it.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, he used to sit there and he would write his solos. Or do 2 or 3 takes out of 3 different ones he had written and piece them together, you know?
Rob asked Mustaine or Hammett. Why not both?
I'm gonna catch shit for this, but
I
as
would
much
say
as I
Hammett
love
myself.
Megadeth, when it came, you know, in their heyday, when it came to the leads, Hammett was nowhere near as fucking sloppy as Mustaine is.
hey, there's no shit to be given there.
But
It's, Marty Friedman.
So Sean's agreeing with you there.
yeah,
Kurt's better player.
but Dave had Marty Friedman, so Dave didn't have any
Hangar
shit.
18 and shit like
No,
fuck.
fucking Holy Wars.
And Dave didn't have shit lead guitar players. I mean, Chris Poland's nuts. Jeff
Yeah.
Young, as much of a douche as he is nowadays, he's insane. Marty Friedman, of course. Then you had Al Petrelli. If you don't know who that is, the head honcho of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Right, there you go.
You know, and then the Drover brothers, and then Chris Broderick, and then
Broderick was
Kiko,
killer, yeah.
and that fucking Timu dude that he's got now.
Timuk.
That dude's
Kiko.
insane.
Well, you know what the cool thing is? We've got both, right?
Yeah.
You've got both of them are awesome. You know, Megadeth and Metallica.
Yeah.
I used to, the Marty Friedman albums, just
Yeah.
it's like stupid.
I'm a big fan of Euthanasia,
I think I was past it by then.
and of course, Countdown to Extinction, and
That was where
Rest in
That's
peace.
what that. Right.
yeah, Symphony of Destruction.
That was the last.
That
album.
riff's fucking awesome.
It is. Yeah.
There's a lot of great riffs and stuff in those Megadeth albums. I mean, Dave Mustaine's no slouch, and I think he's a great metal songwriter.
Yep.
Yep. I
So-
don't care so much for his voice. I much prefer
No.
Rob wants to know favorite Megadeth song and riff.
Hangar 18
There you go.
for me, hands down.
That one's up there. Probably Wake Up Dead,
Good one.
which that was what was that Jeff Young on that track?
I think so.
Or was that Marty? I don't
I
remember.
think it was
I
Marty.
think that was pre Marty.
I think it was Jeff Young on Wake Up Dead.
Good Morning Black Friday's good.
Or it might have been Poland. Fuck, I don't remember. He had like 47 lead guitar players.
Yeah.
But
Like you said, they were
Difficult to
all
work with
awesome.
at times.
the tune that was on, was it what was it on Last Action Hero, Angry Again? I love that song. It's not Crush 'Em or Breadline.
There's a lot of good tuna there for sure.
Who's next?
I think we're waiting for Ryan.
I think it's mine.
I got
All right.
one. I got one more, and it'll make Trev real fucking happy.
Just one more? That's it?
Well, we can go
Next
as
one,
long as we need to.
All right,
As
so
long
I
as it's like another 15, 20 minutes.
I think the next one in my journey was one that I was like, holy crap, that is so cool sounding. It kind of made me just kind of think about the simplicity of it and just the hard kind of rocking sound that it had that could drive a whole song for almost 9 minutes long. Freaking Stranglehold, man. I heard that song and freaking jamming, driving to that tune, almost 9 minutes of that song. Yeah. That was just a very, very inspiring riff that just kind of one of those that caught you. And I was like, I got to learn to do that.
In there too, that whole interlude, right?
Yep. Yeah, you should listen to look it up on YouTube. It's New just talking about how he came up with that while they were in there, and he was playing some stuff, and they're like, that doesn't sound good. So he started doing some really strange stuff, and he was like, I think it sounded great, and he was have to find that. I was watching that the other day. Let's see. Some Dave do his beliefs are fine and good, but his history keeps making me lean towards a weird alpha and cannot work with someone long at all. Must be talking about Mustaine.
Yeah.
That's right, Stranglehold. Ted didn't even play that riff. I think keyboard player wrote it. What a great song.
Funny.
Put a lot of quarters in the jukebox at the arcade playing fucking Wango Tango back in the day. Here.
Joe says Hibernation and Great White Buffalo are the best live.
Oh, it was a tango.
What was never
The Maserati.
at all.
Well, there was a couple tunes, Cat Scratch Fever and especially Stranglehold. That's my favorite. I hear that one come on, I immediately turn it up and just jam to that one.
Right.
All right, Randy, you got another one, you said.
Yeah, I got into the new wave of American heavy metal as a high schooler. And this band, and I'm going to butcher this riff. I like this band because to me they were kind of leading the forefront of it, and they had really, really, really technical drop D riffs that are hard as fuck to play,
Killswitch?
and they have guitar solos. So, no, it is not Kill.
What?
I haven't played that riff in so freaking long.
It's cool, man.
Lamb of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love me some fucking Lamb of God.
Cool. All right. John, do you have any others? Or we about riffed out for tonight?
Yeah, I think after early mid 2000s, I kind of started really getting into songs. So I was right into alternative music and you fucking 1975's fucking just stuff that it's not guitar centric. And then my kids got a little older, and all of a sudden Coheed and Cambria. There you go. Yeah, that whole scene, I love that. That's killer. I love all that stuff.
Ban him.
You don't like them?
Why don't you come in here and grab the guitar and do something better?
Who, what? What?
What?
Who's he talking about, Van?
He's talking a Wall of Cries, sitting over on a couch, and
Yeah, Gene. Yeah, dude, hip, all that stuff. I was full on sucker for a lot of that, like nautical disaster, as far as I'm concerned.
Is that the
songs ever written?
is that the New Orleans the sinking dudes?
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's-
Yeah,
Actually,
but Nautical Disaster is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Get you in the fields too.
So Dan Gorman has been here the whole time, and he says, "Don't you have one more riff to play, Randy, that inspired you?"
It wasn't influential for me, dude. Sorry.
It wasn't. Well, it was for me because I had heard
can
it.
I ask a question? Before you get
Absolutely.
into that? What about all this 80s bullshit? Not 80s bullshit, but your standards, Van Halen to me was the 80s as far as that goes. Like Dawkins, who was popular in the 80s?
Okay, you had your Quiet Riot, you had your Twisted Sisters, you had your
Motley Crue.
all the hair and makeup guys, and then you had your
Poison,
San Francisco
Cinderella,
Sisters, your Slayers,
Poison,
your
yeah.
Megadeths,
I
your
hated all of
Metallicas.
that shit.
There's the one dude that if you play it, you're going to end up owing his wife a fuck ton of money. So
Well, that's before that, though, right? Dio? Dio was
no,
kinda
Dio was
early.
Dio was early '80s, bro.
Early. Yeah,
I was talking
like,
about Ozzy,
Oh, yeah.
which is why I've not played any Ozzy riffs because I used to jam Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman.
Diaries.
Oh,
Definitely
that's the
up
other
there.
one. Jakey Lee.
Jackie.
Bark at the Moon.
Yeah, man.
That's right, Rob. Some Scorpions in there too.
Fucking-
But it gets all bluesy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The,
Chris Hill is here. Says hello, all from West Virginia. Dear, 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 dear.
yeah, a lot of that stuff, it got derivative really quick. Like the early stuff was good, I think, but like Warrant and all that.
Warrant was like 90.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of a Warren, a DeMartini,
You're going to do it?
I'm going to do it because it actually was an inspirational riff to me because I had heard it and I had heard people playing it in guitar centers and so forth. And I was like, man, that's a really cool riff. I'd like to learn that. And then was it Trev that challenged me to it? Not terribly long ago. A couple, 3 years or so ago. So I tried to learn it just a little bit, and Randy started playing it, so I didn't give it much thought. But that recently has been a riff that I've been working on because I think it sounds really, really cool.
It is killer riff.
So for Dan Gorman, the hacked version of Lay It Down. Okay, starting over. It's one of those chords over there. All right.
Super cool riff.
It is really, really cool.
So which one was that off of Under the Cellar
yeah,
or
yeah.
Out of the Cellar?
Out of the
Out of the
Cellar.
cellar. That
Yeah.
was when that one came up. It was a doozy.
And what was the one before that or after
That was the
There
one before.
Two
Tom
albums.
McGraw said, "Play Lay It Down."
There was
Okay.
2 albums by then that were just killer, one after the
What
other.
was
There
that?
was more
Was
than
that an
that.
insult to me that I wasn't actually playing
I
it?
think Joe was being a bit naughty there. Yeah.
Invasion of Your
Cheeky
Privacy and Out of the
Invasion
Cellar
of- yeah.
were the 2 back-to-back, their first 2.
Yeah. Those ones I did. And then the One Cool Junior, that was, I think the riff, and that was that. That's enough of that. Rounded. Yeah, killer. All that stuff was really good.
Quick honorable mention to me for a riff that I tried to wanted to learn how he did it, which I thought was really, really simple after I learned it. Something like that.
That's what she said.
That heavy drop D riffage.
So Joe wasn't taking the piss out of you. He was thinking of a different song.
Had a brain fart.
I know.
Right around that same era with the Rat round and around, there's another cassette that was in pretty regular rotation, and the band was pretty killer, but then they just kind of disappeared, and that was Loudness with the Rock and Roll Crazy Nights.
Is that like the Japanese guys?
Yeah, a Japanese band. They had pretty killer riffs going in that album.
Yeah, I didn't get into that.
And I think he's still doing stuff, but just fell right off the radar, you know. Only had that one cassette.
He's a Friedman guy, I think.
Yeah, he's a Friedman guy.
Taka Raka Saka Waka, whatever the fuck his
I
name
think Pete knows him pretty well.
What about you, Randy? Any honorable mentions? Still a cool riff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
It is.
absolutely. Yep.
All that stuff.
Pound Cake was on the radio today. I haven't heard that one for a while.
Pound Cake, yeah. Excellent riff.
Well, if you're going to do honorable mentions, you got to give the honorable mention to the song that inspired Lay It Down.
And of course, the riff that has inspired many Van Halen fan guitar players. Everybody, wants to learn the tune.
Very cool.
Another good honorable mention there.
Yeah. Of course, as far as rhythm guitar players, a couple other honorables would be Scott Ian of Anthrax.
Fuck yeah.
That guy just, you just hear the music, you just want to start jumping up and down and doing the fucking
Who's
mosh
faster,
pit.
James or Scotty Ian?
I think James.
James was a little more chug, but pretty close call because Scott's pretty tight with his rhythms, man, the way he jumps around.
I think somebody actually did a tempo timing of what the actual pick speed would have to be, and it's all downstroke with Hetfield.
Yeah.
The same with Scott. Scotty's on downs too.
He does a lot of down picking. And of course, Malcolm Young, good old AC/DC.
Yeah, man.
74 jailbreak.
Can't forget those guys.
Darren's asking, Randy, do you think you're tough? No.
The fuck is that?
Rob says, don't forget about John Sykes and George Lynch.
I didn't mention Duncan. But yeah, Whitesnake, yeah, there's another band that, especially if you go see them live.
Yeah, I really like Whitesnake, like the Slide It In album.
Yeah. Still of the Night. Cool with that violin thing.
The two after Whitesnake, and then the one with Steve Vai. I love that.
Cool stuff. Well, boys, we are 2 hours nearly into tonight's Guitarsenal, and I think we need to wrap it on up.
Yeah.
I think we have exhausted everything that has kind of inspired us. Everything from that point on has just been kind of, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool, as we continue.
Yeah.
Our
Foundation
guitar,
has been laid.
yeah, our guitar journey. So you see where we all come from, and you can kind of see it in how we play now, I think, and what we like to play. Let's see. Some Dave Dude says, Trev, we need to do a green room only connection and play this weekend for a bit.
Sure, man.
Get
Right
all
on.
shittered up
Sure,
and
man.
Trevor will go
Sounds
live
good.
and you won't even know it.
Right.
I was thinking it's too bad that Jimmy's not here. I would have really liked to hear some of Jimmy's list. Maybe on Thursday we should sit him in an isolation square for 10 minutes. And
Do
let
a
him
do a
ramble some,
Guitarsenal rewind on Thursday.
Jimmy had an odd date tonight.
Probably. All right.
That or he beat some protesters' ass with a McDonald's tray.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
bail.
Do people even protest in Montana? I don't think so.
Who knows? Right on, Zach. Fun show tonight. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Sova said earlier that this was his favorite show that we do, is the Tuesday night. So right on. Sova, if you're still here. He probably left right after he said that.
Joe's
So-
happy that he got to go at Round and Round.
Right. Right on, man. So thank you,
know how to play that
everybody.
riff? Sorry, man. Do you know how to play that riff, Randy? Can you play that shit?
Round and round.
Is he just not paying attention at all?
I think he might be trying to.
Comes around.
He's just jamming in his ears. He can't hear you.
I haven't heard
What?
that riff in a long time. Round and Round. Can you play that riff?
I don't know, round and round. Dude, the only Rat riff I know is Lay It Down and like, what is it? You get what you give.
Yeah.
That's
What
it.
you get is what you get.
The Jimmy riff.
The Jimmy riff. All right, boys. Well, I had fun tonight. Thanks for all the input and the idea, Randy. That was awesome.
That was, yeah, good idea, buddy.
Chuck C agrees. Tuesdays nights are the best. Right on, man. Dan Gorman says super cool show.
Start
Appreciate
learning
you.
solos, boys.
Appreciate you all coming and checking us out. And everybody in the chat, remember that Saturday nights, man, it's going to be an open panel. Tune up your guitar. Turn on your camera. Plug it in.
Bring a
And
bucket to puke into. It's going to be
Come out,
debauchery.
come out and jam with us.
Saturday night.
But before that, we will see everyone on Thursday for Trans Trim Thursday or for OU Crew Thursday Jam. We never know which one it's going to be, depending on if I can be here. So we'll see everybody Thursday for next show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same channel, same time, different night. So thanks, everybody. If you're watching on replay, thank you. Everybody, please hit the like before you leave out tonight and share the channel out. Tell some friends. Let them know. We need some more subs over here. So we appreciate each and every one of you.
Once I
So,
snap my fingers, you will no longer be gay.
but I'm not gay.
You could unhit it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yep. Blue Blues says, take care. Great show. See you, man. All right. We are out of here. Until next time, we will see you. Goodbye.
See you, boys.
Eddie Van Halen here, telling you, keep playing, man. Gotta keep playing. It's the only thing there is. Music, man. Keep playing. All right? I'm gonna come looking for you if you don't.